Hello, my name is Faith J. Day, and I'm a senior staff writer at Technology Advice. We're here today for a fireside chat with DigiCert about building and maintaining secure software. Today, we live in a world where everything is connected digitally. Even our business and social interactions are often conducted electronically. In this context, DigiCert is a leader in ensuring secure interactions for our interconnected lives. They provide digital trust for and between machines, identities, people, devices, and content, such as pictures, documents, or video. And of course, our topic of the day, software. We have with us Tom Klein, a trust specialist, and Mohan Dattatreya, the VP of Engineering at DigiCert. They are here to discuss the nature and nuances of securing software. Now I will pass this chat over to Tom so he can introduce himself and today's topic.
Thank you so much, Faith. It's good to be here today. As mentioned, my name's Tom Klein. I am a trust specialist. What that means is I get to go around and talk to lots of customers and do events where we discuss this connected world that we live in and ways to secure it. Here at DigiCert, we do that with cryptographic solutions that are based on PKI and primarily certificates, and it has served us pretty well. And we get to see a lot of different things go on in our customers that is actually very interesting. So, with that, I'll let Mohan introduce himself, and then we'll get started. Mohan.
Thank you, Tom. I'm Mohan Dattatreya, VP of Engineering at DigiCert, responsible for software trust and content trust. I joined DigiCert a couple of years ago, and prior to that, I've been in the Silicon Valley for over 3 decades. I've been leading teams for over 2 decades. For the last 12 plus years, I've been building SaaS platforms, CI/CD platforms. I've been working with companies who are asking for DevOps along with security and addressing those challenges. So I'm very excited to be talking about this topic today.
Awesome. Thanks, Mohan. So let's get started. The subject is trust, and specifically software trust. When you say software trust, what do you actually mean, and why is it a challenge in 2026?
That's a great question, Tom. So software trust, when I talk to our customers, it means a number of different things to them. They want to know if the software that they have pushed to production, where did it come from? Who authorized that software to be pushed to production? What does it contain? And most importantly, if there are any security vulnerabilities found with it after it's pushed to production or it's been released, can they stay on top of it? So it's, as you can see, it's a really broad topic. And in 2026 is really challenging because every company is trying to go faster. They want to ship features faster than their competition so that they can have a competitive advantage. And at the same time, product security is worried about all of those breaches that are happening, and they want to put more guardrails in place. So that brings up a really unique challenge. How do you kind of meet these kind of, if you will, opposing points of view?
Good stuff. In today's world, there's, liability and news by the moment and things like that. Has the challenges around this gotten to the board level these days?
Absolutely. So you've heard about all of the financial institutions who had breaches and they exposed customer data and they were subject to more regulatory scrutiny. And you'll be surprised to know, Tom, that even security companies, internet security companies, are not immune to this. I'm not going to name names, but companies who had breaches in internet security, they had their market cap go down by a few $1 billion. And, it affects their brand reputation. It affects, their customers. And they have, so this is really a topic that the board is challenging the exec team as to how they're staying on top of this. So it's definitely something that is a board level topic that the exec team is held accountable for.
Yeah, I get that. Um, so on the topic of trusted software and things that they do, when we talk to most of our customers, they talk about, hey, we've signed something, we signed a binary or file, whatever the case it is. It's all trusted and it's good. But when you say you're signing, what problem are you actually solving, or what problem should you be solving?
Yeah, that's again a great question. So, what you said is absolutely true that at this point, most companies think about signing as the last step in the release process. And, most of the time it's manual and there are no policies per se about who can sign and when you can sign the software. But the real challenge isn't that you can sign the software or not, it's about how do you prevent unauthorized signing. So if you look at what the current state of the software industry is, a lot of the companies have their keys sitting on build servers, they're sitting on developer laptops, and that's a big challenge. So just imagine if you are a hacker and you can get access to those keys and you can sign the software, then instead of delivering your software, you might be delivering malware to them. And so that's the key problem that customers have to solve is how can they put a system in place that prevents unauthorized signing?
So, Mohan, I get that everybody uses some sort of a signing capability and uses the crypto associated with it. And that's all well and good. But I think if we look at most of the breaches that have happened, it hasn't been because of cryptography or bad cryptography. It's been these processes that you talk about that really make a difference. So if somebody's doing signing and doing it well, what does good look like for a company?
Yeah. So let me talk about good, better, best, and say that the best in class, they take care of three things. One is key custody. They need to store their keys securely in FIPS compliant HSMs. They cannot have their keys lying around on build servers and laptops, like I said before. Second, they need to have a policy that they can define and enforce so that when the auditors come calling, they can show what policies they have and those are meeting those regulatory requirements. And last but definitely not the least, they need to have the signing integrated as part of their CI/CD pipelines, so it becomes a natural byproduct of the software supply chain as opposed to being something they do at the last minute before they just need to release. So those are the three things that I think is what defines best in class enterprises who have integrated signing as part of their DevOps process, and as a result have moved from DevOps to DevSecOps, where security is integrated as part of that DevOps lifecycle.
Makes again always makes sense, and it's good policy and good practice. But in order to put that practice into motion, what is it at DigiCert that we think or we do that allows customers to engage these practices?
Software Trust Manager, which is within the DigiCert One platform, is something that is kind of best in class signing solution. So let me take a step back and kind of tell you about what DigiCert One is. It's a cloud-based SaaS platform, and software trust is one of the capabilities where we're helping to protect the software supply chain. So there are a number of reasons that the customers choose us and they love this solution. The first one is that compliance is a natural byproduct of using software trust. So let me tell you how that happens. The first thing is that we have cloud native key storage. Keys are stored in our data center in FIPS compliant HSMs. Second, we have fine-grained access control, which means you can define roles within your organization about who can create those keys, who can manage those keys and rotate those keys, versus who can actually do the signing, because the folks who do the signing could actually be on the development side. So this is really what allows you to have a system in place which not only prevents unauthorized signing, but allows you to be audit ready at all times. So that's I would say, the number one reason why customers love Software Trust Manager. The second reason is basically because uh, DigiCert recognizes that developers are trying to go fast while product security wants more guardrails in place, and it doesn't try to change the developer workflows. Instead, what we do is we provide really deep integrations which allows enterprises to integrate signing as part of their CI/CD workflows with deep integrations to GitHub, to DevOps, Azure, Jenkins, GitLab, whatever CI/CD tool you are doing. We have a deep integration which allows for this to be a seamless part of your CI/CD workflows. So what does that mean? That it's no longer a developer chore. You don't have to change your workflows, and the signing becomes a natural byproduct of your software process. The third reason is um, customers don't have to worry about infrastructure. They don't have to worry about managing servers. We take care of all of that in the cloud, and we simplify their operations. They don't have to worry about certificates expiring. We keep their certificates evergreen by having these automated renewal and lifecycle management of these code signing certificates they're using as part of that process. So that's kind of the gist of what software trust. It does a lot more. Like, you can have policies that you can put in place where, only during certain release windows, teams are allowed to sign. You can define your teams and you can manage signing at enterprise scale. So the bottom line is that, and you're audit ready at all times. So I think we really provide a comprehensive solution which provides all of those things that I talked about as best practices that enterprises should adopt for signing.
Yeah, I would say that in my conversations with customers that do signing, that one of their biggest challenges is really around audit. Can you identify and can you document and represent who's done what when? And I know that we've done a really good job on that on the back end. Um,
One thing that I forgot to mention was customers tell us, I want one tool to manage all kinds of signing. And I'm really proud of the work our team has done over the last few quarters to provide a single solution that helps you to sign your binaries, your containers, your SBOMs, and also to provide, what I call attestation or evidence for release. And so that really also simplifies, how they can integrate our product very easily into their workflows.
yeah, makes total sense. So, um, one of the you just mentioned SBOMs, and I would say that SBOM has just become a buzzword for a lot of different reasons. There's, things going on out there from a regulatory standpoint and others. Um, but beyond generating an SBOM, what did why are SBOMs important? What does it do to reduce risk over time?
For the sake of the audience, let me just kind of take a minute to tell you what an SBOM is and the history of how SBOMs got created. SBOM stands for Software Bill of Materials. It's kind of like the nutrition label on your food, right? So it tells you what the ingredients of your software are. And the way this came into existence was we had the SolarWinds attack, and then there was an executive order from the Biden government which said, we need a system in place where we will have complete transparency about what the software is made up of, and so we can stop these types of attacks in the future. So SBOM is something that everyone is thinking about as, they need to print these nutrition labels, if you will. But the key challenge and why there is some skepticism around SBOMs is like, how do you really use it to kind of maintain a security posture? How do you get actionable intelligence out of it? And that is the key, difference between, just producing SBOMs versus using them to keep this continuous security posture and to maintain your risk.
Yeah. It seems like, SBOMs are becoming, as I said, a higher profile. There's been a push for transparency. You mentioned SolarWinds, but their governments are pushing it as well. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, if you're doing business with the federal government, with the US government, NIST requires it as part of the software supply chain. So SBOM is a requirement for doing that. But that's not all, right? So EU has this Resilience Act where they require all uh, software manufacturers, if you will, to produce and use SBOMs, and they've given a deadline of next year. And if they don't do that, they are subject to regulatory fines and those kinds of things. And then last but definitely not the least, if you look at FDA, so for all of those device manufacturers who are putting software on these medical instruments, could be a glucose monitor or any other device, MRI device where you're putting software on there, they require that SBOMs software vendors not only publish SBOMs to prove, what was included in software, but they also provide evidence that the software was run through the most stringent of security scanning and it met the bar for being deployed in these, because it's really a matter of life and death, right? You don't want bugs in your software causing outages, in your hospital.
Yeah. You know, um, it seems a universal truth that when government agencies anywhere in the world get involved, and start regulating things, it makes more work and it makes things more complicated with good intentions. But how do you balance this idea of we have to respond to the requirements within a given environment and get software out the door quickly? Where's the balance there? What happens?
Yeah, so I think the balance happens from the fact that you are focusing on automation, you're not doing the scanning again as manual steps, and you're integrating that as part of your software supply chain. So let me take a little step back and kind of tell you about what we are hearing from our customers, what their journey looks like, what their concerns are, and how DigiCert is thinking about it, and how we are addressing it with the new offering that we are about to announce called continuous release monitoring. So, the first concern that we hear from customers is, I don't know uh, what releases I have shipped. I don't know which of the releases that I shipped were scanned. So, they don't have a baseline of that. Then the second thing is, I know what releases I've shipped. I know what security vulnerabilities I have, but that's such a big, long list. Which are the ones that I need to be tackling immediately, right? What do I do? How do I make this more actionable for my teams? And then finally, product security is always asking the question, after I have shipped the release or it's in production, what if a log4j event happens where everybody needs to update their software? How do I keep on top of that? Can you give me a notification system that tells me that the software that I have shipped maybe 6 months ago, has a vulnerability like Heartbleed or Log4j, and I immediately need to take action on it. So they don't have those kinds. So these are the concerns we are hearing from our customers. And so in response to that, we are building a new capability as part of software trust within the DigiCert One platform that allows you to not only produce SBOMs as part of the software release process. You could be in GitHub and we can automatically enable scanning and generate the SBOMs, but we can also monitor your additional releases that you want us to release. And then we can have a notification system where you are immediately informed, whether it by email or Slack, as and when new CVEs uh, are announced that might impact you because you're including some of those components that just became vulnerable.
Sure, sure. Um, I I'm kind of excited. I'm partial because I'm here at DigiSearch, but I'm partial. I'm very excited about 2026 and some of the things that are coming down the road. And I think it really is upping our game for our customers. And I think there'll be a lot of excited people to see some of the things that we're going to be introducing that should make their lives a little bit easier. So good. I'm going to change topics a little bit.
Mm.
You can't have a conversation anymore without talking about AI. And that's got a lot of different components to it, models and agents and all the other things that go along with it. Um, Talk a little bit about AI and software supply chain security and things about security around AI models. What's up with that?
Yes, AI is, as you know, there was the Chat GPT moment that happened a few years ago, and since then, everyone is using Chat GPT. What's also become very ubiquitous, if you will, is everyone has to integrate a chat interface where you can talk to your software, and so that's also happening. Applications are including AI chatbots, if you will, as part of it. And then there's the step beyond that where companies are replacing their traditional workflows with agentic workflows, which means agents can now go and do tasks that human would do, which could be like, I want to generate some analytics and I want to take some action based on that. So this while this is fantastic from a productivity point of view, it's really keeping all of the CISOs up at night as to how they're going to keep on top of all of these new software components that are becoming available. Like you said, there are the AI models, which are foundational models that these AI applications are using, that there are all of these agentic applications that are running autonomously. So the the question that everyone is asking is, I would say it's really $1 trillion question is how are we going to have put guardrails in place to make sure that you have the same trust with your AI applications as you did with software. So AI security is software plus plus. So right, so all of the security measures that you had in place for software supply chain apply here. You need to scan your AI applications. You need to make sure that there are no vulnerabilities. There are hundreds of open source components you could be including, and any of them could become vulnerable because they're available in the public domain. And then on top of these, you have all of these models, which are kind of like black boxes, and that is becoming suddenly business critical. So the question really now is, um, how are we going to, again, if you will, introduce AI trust. So stay tuned for some very exciting announcements from DigiCert in that area. But we're really working to kind of extend everything we have done with software trust to the AI model space, and then next to the AI agentic space, right? So those are areas where there are a whole new class of vulnerabilities. I could talk about this for hours, but really, you could have prompt injection attacks, right? So you use these prompts to talk to your LLM, and you could, in the prompt, you could sneak in something which would really cause, data to be leaked. And there have been many incidents that you can Google and look at. You could have model poisoning attacks, right? So there's so much intellectual property with these models. Those could be the training data you used or the weights you used. And if your attacker has access to any of these and they go and modify just the weights or your training data set, they can really bias the data to provide answers in a very specific way, right? So it could really impact the how these models are uh, you know responding to customer requests. So
Yep.
I think there are a whole slew of new concerns that are coming up, and that's a big research area for us as well at DigiCert. We're really excited that to be part of the journey to help kind of make sure that companies can take advantage of the productivity gains that come with the AI. There's really ROI to be had, but they can do it in a responsible way by deploying these AI applications with all of these guardrails in place.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I think that's probably another entire chat at another time for the two of us. So, any last thoughts? I really appreciate the time that you've invested and the deep knowledge that you have. Anything that you'd like to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, there's a buzzword that people might have heard called post-quantum cryptography, and I wanted to just quickly comment on that. PQC is real. The NIST has approved algorithms for both key exchange as well as for signing. We are at DigiCert are really proud to be taking kind of the lead, if you will, in PQC readiness for enterprises all across the world. We host a PQC readiness day every year, and where we have all of the industry experts come in and talk about, what you need to do for PQC readiness. So just, I don't know if I clarified this, PQC stands for post quantum cryptography. And, when that moment happens, all of the algorithms that are currently protecting the internet, like SSL, TLS 1.3 uses RSA and DSA. Those algorithms, those keys could be broken when these quantum computers become commercially available and get into the hands of hackers. So I think the key point I wanted to mention is why we're not saying that everyone needs to switch to using these PQC algorithms that have been ratified by the NIST last year, but
Yeah.
at least there needs to be some preparedness around it.
Right.
And the way DigiCert is helping our customers is at a minimum you need to do an inventory of what crypto algorithms you're using. You will be surprised, Tom, how many companies are still using MD5 and they
Mhm.
have no plans to upgrade, right? So I
Right.
think the key message I want to leave everyone with is we have the tools that can help you to kind of do an inventory and have observability about all of the crypto algorithms you're using, but you need to really put a system in place where you have plans to upgrade from these deprecated and broken algorithms, and you have the crypto agility, the ability to kind of switch when that Y2K like moment happens, without having to be in a kind of a firefighting, scrambling mode to, respond to the pressures of your board or your executive team.
Yep.
So that would be my really the parting comment I wanted to mention. And for those of you who are interested, please go to the DigiCert website. There's a whole section about PQC readiness that can help you with that.
I completely agree with you. I think it's a great finishing comment is not just what we're doing today, but what everyone needs to do over the horizon. So thank you for that, Mohan. With that, folks, I think we're going to finish up. Faith, is there anything that you want to say as we end this little chat we've been having?
Yes, thank you to both Tom and Mohan for coming and sharing your insights and expertise on building and maintaining secure software. It was a fantastic talk. And if you'd like to learn more about DigiCert and how they help organizations build digital trust, please make sure to visit www.digicert.com. And on behalf of everyone at Technology Advice, thank you again to our speakers and to everyone who joined us. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.